Well, hello there everyone and welcome to yet another video over here on Anton's hardware channel. Today I'm going to talk to you about yet another sound card, and this time it is the Asus Essence ST sound card. And when I bought it secondhand, it came with a nice interesting surprise. Let's find out what that surprise is. As you can see, I got the sound card working in the test bench at this moment and got the drivers installed. Those are not the standard Asus drivers, these are the Unisonar drivers which you can find online. Those installed just perfectly. The ones from Asus said, well, there's no card present, so I cannot install any drivers. The Unisonar drivers just went and installed everything. In the Unisonar drivers system, you have the option of installing several of the driver interfaces, and this one is the standard original from Asus, and as you can see, it is a bit dated. You got all the settings there, everything that you should want, but still, it still looks like it's from the 90s, maybe the 2000s. It is a bit immature, especially when you look at the extra settings, like the when you can set it to arena with a lot of echo. That may be cool back in the 90s, but nowadays, who uses it? I think nobody actually uses it, so there is no point in adding those options to the drivers themselves. But still, the interface does its job, and you can still get everything in working order. Now, as with other sound cards that have an external sound source, power source, it has an interesting click. Let's take a quick look at the click. Now, the click that you just heard is the click of the sound card itself, selecting which system to use, internal system to use. At first, it gave me a bit of a scare. It also happens on other sound cards, but this time it gave me a scare again, because that same clicking is the clicking you can hear when an old mechanical hard drive used to fail, and you thought, well, you heard the clicking, you said, oh no, my hard drive is going to fail, but this time it doesn't. It works just fine. There is a bit of an issue. The card itself is targeted more at the hi-fi end of the market, and you can see that when you look at the connectors on the side. On the back side, because it has the bigger plugs and not the nowadays standard headphone or headset plugs. You have to get one of those converters to get it from the smaller ones to the bigger ones, and I used that and I started to listen to the sound card. Now, when I was doing those listening sessions, something similar about the Asus sound cards came, well, to my ears. It is as if all those Asus sound cards sort of sound similar to each other, and I was wondering why. So I checked out all the specifications of all the Asus sound cards that I currently have in my possession, and I compared them, and I started off with the Asus Xonar DX, which is from way back in 2008, and I ended up with the Asus Xonar AE, which is the card that I made my very first YouTube video about. And if you look at the components that are used, it is always almost the same. It's always a C-Media audio processor, sometimes even from the same series. The digital to analog converter, okay, there are 3 different ones, but it's either a Cirrus Logic, Burr Brown, or an ESS Sabre. The amplifier is almost always the same, except that the AE has components-wise, a bit lesser one. My feeling that there was something similar about all the Asus sound cards, well, that became true, because they are sort of components. There's not a lot of components in the repertoire that Asus has at this moment. Now, the surprise that I got with this sound card is this, and it is an expansion card for that sound card, also for another sound card, and that one is called the Xonar HDAV 1.3, which is a bit more expensive. But still, it has an expansion card. Now, expansion cards were never really big, but still, back in the days, it was really cool. Now, this Xonar HDAV H6 expansion card provides all the connectors to connect it to your receiver. Now, although this is really cool, and I really do enjoy, well, this sort of anomaly in sound card world. I don't really see the point in it. Why would you use it? Why would you connect your stereo to it? Because, well, most people these days use a standard receiver and connect it to the Sony Philips digital interface, the SPDIF. So why using this card? Maybe for the digital to analog converters, which weren't that common back in the days. Nowadays they are, so I don't really see the point. It is cool though. There was a bit of an issue there because the connector that's on the rear side of the card, it's one of those standard floppy flat cables. I did not connect it that good and it sort of fried the card. A bit sad to say it, but the card got fried. It started to smell a bit smoky in here and I thought I did something wrong. But maybe the card was already faulty when I got it, but I think I broke it. But still, there was no real need to start listening to it because I only use a headset and I wasn't going to use it anyway. But still, it's cool. I listened to this sound card with 3 different headsets, the SteelSeries 9H and the Biodynamic and another Sennheiser, and also used the smaller Edifier speakers that I have back here. I started listening to this sound card and the quality is really good, but that's, well, I said that before in the specifications. The components are really good and it has a really nice sound to it. The lows are low and not too overpowering. The middle is really cool, but I had some issues with the high. It was sort of sharp and not always too pleasant to hear. Maybe it's because of one of my headsets or maybe it's something else, but I do think it's the sound card because I didn't hear it in any other sound cards that I tested in the past. So the sound quality is really cool. There were some sharp edges around the highs, but still it's a really nice listen. So my conclusion for this sound card. Well, as I said before, the listening is really good. It's a really pleasant in your ears, and there's nothing wrong with that. What is wrong with this card? Although it has the expansion card. Now, what is wrong with this card? It is PCI. Well, PCI, most modern motherboards don't come with PCI, only with PCI Express. So if you have a sound motherboard that does support PCI, it may be an option, but still wait for more. The standard connector for your headset doesn't work. You need to use the converter there. Not everyone has the converter. It isn't that expensive, but it's another step to get it to work. The last bit is the driver interface, which is really old. There are driver interfaces these days which are a lot better. I understand that Asus doesn't support this sound card anymore. But still, come on people, it's a driver interface that looks like it came from the 90s. So those 3 things, and also the lack of a optical Sony Philips digital interface or SPDIF, all 4 of those points make it that I cannot recommend this card anymore. If you even can find one in the shops, maybe you can still find one secondhand. It may be an option if you're looking to buy an HD PC and have enough room for the expansion card and the one that is working. It may be an option, but still I wouldn't recommend this card. So with that ending, I would like to thank you, and I'm going to come back with yet another sound card video in not too distant future.